So some of you may be wondering, hey, now that I know all this stuff, how exactly can I use Excel in my everyday life? Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. Well, one way that I find that a lot of people like to use Excel is by creating a check register and having that on their computers. Um, you know, the thing about people in check registers that they really don't like is, man, why should I use Excel as a check register? Because I just got to do all the adding and subtracting anyway, and putting it in cells and all that stuff. What's the point? And my answer is always, well, have you ever heard of a template? And that's where I got this template. This that's on the screen right now. This is a check register template, and I'm going to show you very briefly and quickly how I got it. I'm going to go to the file, the backstage view or the file area.
File menu, save, open, close,
and I'm using my down arrow.
C. Info tabs, recent tab, select, new tab selected.
So this is my new tab.
Alt, F.
Now I can create just a new blank document, and it'll give me a plain old Excel sheet like we talked about at the beginning of this series, where it gives you 3 blank worksheets and up to 1.5 million cells and whatever. But you can also get a template. So I'm going to hit I'm going to use my tab key.
Type 1 or more keywords.
Okay. So now I can search if I want to. I can search for a specific template that I want. This is where I would write something like check register or budget or something like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, instead of that, I'm just going to show you the different examples. So I'm going to hit tab again.
New grouping.
And here's our grouping.
Templates, grouping, start, data grid. Annual, not selected, annual.
Now these are all folders. These are all annual things you can open.
Any year, not selected, basic, not selected, basic. Blue, not selected, blue.
I know what blue is.
Budgets,
okay.
not selected, budgets. Business, not calculator, not charts, not analysis, not selected, analysis.
So you have to go down.
Daily, not selected, daily. Design sets, not selected, education, not selected, education. Employee, not event, not selected.
So as you can see, there's a lot of different templates that you can look through it. And I would encourage you to look through these on your own and see what kinds of templates there are, whether they're accessible, whether you're interested in using these kinds of templates. But I'm going to actually do a shift tab.
Analysis, not start searching, but check. New grouping. Okay. Available templates, grouping.
So it's going to give me some different templates.
More keywords.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now that there are some templates that are going to, by default, be a lot more easy to manage than others. I happen to know that this first one that it comes up with, because I played with it, I know is not extremely accessible. And it also has a chart in there. I mean, it's very visual. If you have some vision and you want that, then that's cool. But this is the one I found the most useful.
Check register.
There we go.
Check register.
Now this is the one that I found the most useful.
Downloading.
So I'm going to hit the enter on that
OK
one.
Button.
And this is an almost exact copy of the one that I already have open, but that I have made a couple of modifications to. So I'm just going to get out of that. I'm just going to do a Control F4 to close that document.
Microsoft Excel dialog.
And for now.
Microsoft Excel.
So this is my check register that's the same basic one that I just had up that I got through there. But what I did was I modified it just a little bit. So where I am is I'm in this check register. And I'm going to go to the top of my register with Control Home.
A5.
Okay. Now you will notice instead of saying A1, it says A5. There's a reason.
A5.
Because this check register is formatted so that the very top is a header. But I can still go up there if I want.
A4. A3. A2. A1. B1. C1. Check register B2 through H2.
Now, do you see how it said B2 through H2? That indicates that all of those cells were merged together so that there would be a room for a title for the check register. So it's not that big of a deal. But it's important to know that our first data is going to be in A5. So I'm going to actually go there.
Date C5/13/ date C4. Number A4. A4. A5.
So that's A5. So A4, row 4, is going to be, is going to tell us what the headers are in the columns.
Number B4.
So B, column B is gonna be your check number or your debit type.
Date C4.
C4 is your date. Or anything in C is your date.
Description of transaction D4.
That's easy. D, description.
CE4.
This is, it gives you the option of putting an X whether that check has been cleared or not through the bank, which these days I don't even ever bother with, because always assume that it will clear like 2 seconds after you swipe your card or do whatever, because honestly, they're getting a lot faster. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do another right arrow.
Debit F4.
This is the amount if it's a debt. If it's a debit from your account.
Credit plus G4.
This is the amount if it's a credit.
Balance H4.
And this is your balance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really quick go to C6, which is, I happen to know that's where this starts. So I'm going to do a Control G. In case you guys don't remember, that's to go to.
Go to dial.
C6.
Microsoft Excel check register template symbol. Check register table 5/14/15 C6.
So this is C6. This is telling me the date. So I'm going to go across, and it'll read me what happened on this date and what I did.
5/14/15 C6. E6. $123.78 F6.
Clearly I spent that much money, and I must have passed.
E6. Groceries D6.
Oh, it was on groceries.
E6. $123.78 F6. G6. $312.21 has formula H6.
Now, it said has formula. Now, that formula that it has is the formula that takes the previous cells in that column's balance, subtracts what was in the debit column, and balances your checkbook automatically. Okay? Now, I'm going to go again. I'm going to go back.
5/14/10, deposit B7.
Okay, here's a deposit. Ooh, nice.
12/22/16 C7.
Really? Well, that's way in the future. That kind of stinks. Probably forgot to update that date.
Deposit, paycheck D7. E7. F7. $1,202.54 G7.
Well, that's a nice paycheck. I think I'll take it. And if I go over one more time,
$1,514.75 has formula H7.
Has formula. Again, that lets you know that you're in your balance. Okay? So let's go ahead and go to the beginning of the row.
A 7. Deposit B7.
Okay.
1034 B8.
So this is my check number or my deposit or my withdrawal. So in this case, it's a check number.
5/14/15 C8.
That's a little bit more in the present.
Dry cleaner D8.
Apparently, even though this is the, we still write checks to the dry cleaner.
E8.
And this is just the E column. Remember, you can check off whether it was cleared.
$10.75 F8.
I don't know whether that's cheap or not. I don't dry clean much.
G8. $1,191.79 has formula H8.
There's my balance. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, there are other...
1,000 has formula H10.
Now, as you'll see, I'm in H10. It said has formula, but it didn't give me a number. That's because this is the first column that does not have a total. So that tells me this is where I can insert my next check, or debit or deposit.
C10, B10.
Okay, so now I'm in B10, and let's just call it a debit.
Edit. Check register table.
Okay,
C10.
so let's see. Today's date is May 15th, 2015. That's today. So,
check register table.
check register.
B10.
What am I going to do this for? You know what? I've got to go plant shopping, so I'm just going to write Shop
Edit.
plant. Okay.
Check register table.
And
F10.
plants aren't cheap anymore, but because the potting soil and a couple other things. So I'm gonna say like, I'm gonna assume that maybe that cost me $51.30 or some odd cents.
5. Check register table. G10.
Okay, now that would be my debit or my credit if I had added any.
$1,050.70
Now,
as formula H10.
Now remember, H10 was empty before, but now it has a total because Excel automatically balanced my checkbook. I would highly suggest that you practice with this sort of thing before you use it on your real checkbook, or at least do some double checking, either on your Braille writer or in another area. If you get, into doing this, this might be a way of taking care of balancing your checkbook on your computer. There are apps that will do this, not as effectively, I don't think, because a lot of them, they want to sync with your bank account and stuff. Some people really are not all that comfortable with that. I personally just have my bank app loaded on my phone, and it's actually pretty accessible, and I check my balance that way. But some people really don't feel comfortable with that. So this is just another way of taking care of that sort of thing. And making sure that even you keep a separate accounting than your bank, because even though your things may update like that, because technology is so doggone fast, you might write a check to a friend who forgets to cash it or somewhere, and you could have that check hanging out forever, and then all of a sudden, wham, you get hit with that, somebody cashed that check, and somehow you ended up in the hole. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't keep a checking account balance, far from it. I'm saying you should keep a checking sheet, but just keep in mind that things do tend to clear quickly. So there's your budgeting lesson for the day, in addition to your dose of Excel technology. So I hope that this has been helpful, and I hope to see you again sometime.